This is truly like, she has to go. I'm sorry, Disney. She has to go. And you're going to put out a Disney film with Snow White, a beloved American character, with a woman who hates, but she's pretty famous and she's been in the news for bad things over the past couple of years as far as the right half of the country is concerned. Her name is Rachel Zegler. The reason we had Rachel Zegler on the docket is she's an asshole. So she came out and took a large dump on half of the country, everyone who voted for Trump. So I attacked her, and then she came out and she said, I apologize. Like I went too far, but it wasn't sincere.
Rachel Zegler thought she had Disney's full support, but Megyn Kelly just made sure the whole world knows otherwise. In a brutal takedown, Kelly didn't hold back, calling out Zegler's attitude, the disastrous Snow White remake, and Disney's never-ending PR nightmare. And let's just say things are not looking suitable for Zegler. So what exactly did Megyn say? And why is the backlash only getting worse? Let's get into it, but before we do, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Megyn says Disney should fire Snow White actress Rachel Zegler.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
Democrats are still in shock, struggling to process their devastating defeat to Donald Trump and the Republicans. They are desperate to understand what went so horribly wrong. And it's not just the politicians, it's the corporate media, it's Hollywood, and it's everyone who never saw this coming. Enter Rachel Zegler. You might know her from Spielberg's West Side Story, but lately, she's been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons, mostly tied to Disney's live-action Snow White remake. First, there was the backlash over replacing the 7 dwarves with magical creatures. Then, Zegler's infamous rant about how her Snow White doesn't need a prince sent Disney scrambling to clean up the mess, pushing the film's release all the way to March 2025. And just when you thought things had quieted down, Zegler is back. This time, setting the internet on fire with another round of controversy. This time, it's political. Furious over Trump's win, she took to Instagram with a dramatic outpouring of emotions, one that quickly went viral. I find myself speechless in the midst of this, she wrote in lowercase Gen Z style. Another 4 years of hatred, leaning us towards a world I do not want to live in. Leaning us towards a world that will be hard to raise my daughter in. Her daughter? She has no children. Leading us towards a world that will force her to have a baby she doesn't want. Again, what daughter? Zegler, at 23, has no kids. Leaning us towards a fearful world. I shouldn't be this shocked, but I am. I am heartbroken for my friends who awoke in fear this morning. And then, the line that sent shockwaves through social media. May Trump supporters and Trump himself never know peace. Wait, what? Did Rachel Zegler wish eternal unrest on millions of Americans? She didn't stop there. In another post, she ranted about the deep, deep sickness in the country, attacked Elon Musk and X, and capped it all off with "F*** Donald Trump." Megyn Kelly, on the other hand, says, she has to go. Disney, are you listening? Because at this point, you might as well hit reset on Snow White again. Megyn Kelly is not holding back, and she's saying what many are already thinking. Rachel Zegler has crossed the line. Hello, Disney. You are going to have to redo your film again because this woman is a pig and you fired Gina Carano for far less than this nonsense, Kelly declared.
Hello, Disney. You're going to have to redo your film again because this woman is a pig and you fired Gina Carano for far less than this nonsense.
But here's the real question. Can you even imagine a Broadway actress posting something like F Biden supporters, or may Biden and Kamala never have a moment of peace? Would they even last a single day? By the way, if you didn't know, Zegler is currently starring in Romeo and Juliet on Broadway. So, if you were thinking of buying tickets, maybe reconsider. Because let's be honest, if any other Hollywood star had said something remotely similar about the left, they would have been fired before the ink dried on their contract. Yet somehow, Zegler is still standing. I'm sorry, Disney, Kelly continued. She has to go, right now, the Snow White controversy.
Snow White bombs, breaks records for the lowest live-action remake opening ever. Let me say that again. Ever.
The controversy surrounding Disney's Snow White remake exploded back in 2023 when shocking photos from the set leaked. The images, obtained by the Daily Mail, revealed something that immediately had fans furious. The beloved seven dwarves did not surround Rachel Zegler's stand-in, but a random group of actors of different heights, genders, and ethnicities. But that was just the beginning. Soon after, it was confirmed that the new version of Snow White would feature only one little person, while the rest would be called magical creatures, all in an effort to avoid reinforcing stereotypes. The backlash was immediate and fierce, forcing Disney to scramble for damage control. Their solution? Adding CGI dwarves at the last minute. But was that enough to fix the mess they created? And then, there was Snow White herself. Zegler didn't just play the iconic princess. She made it clear she was determined to change her. "I just mean that it's no longer 1937, she told Variety, insisting that her Snow White wouldn't be waiting around for Prince Charming. "We absolutely wrote a Snow White that's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be." But if the changes to the film weren't enough to enrage Disney's audience, Zegler's off-screen behavior sealed the deal. Just days after Donald Trump's shocking 2024 election victory, Zegler took to Instagram in a full-blown meltdown. "I find myself speechless," she wrote, calling the next 4 years a time of hatred and fear. But then, she took it a step further. Paraphrasing Ethel Cain, she added, "May Trump supporters and Trump himself never know peace." That was the moment Megyn Kelly called on Disney to fire Zegler. But here's the question. If Gina Carano was fired for far less, why is Zegler still in this movie? What makes her untouchable? Disney chose to ignore the controversy, but with all the backlash piling up, will they really be able to ignore it forever? A movie doomed from the start.
Expectations that it'll open at between $45 and $55 million domestically and potentially over $100 million worldwide.
From the very beginning, Disney's Snow White reboot has been a magnet for controversy. And now, with backlash reaching a boiling point, one has to wonder, was this movie ever destined to succeed? The outrage started early. Conservative critics took issue with Rachel Zegler's casting, complaining that a Latina actress was playing a character named Snow White. Of course, this wasn't the first time Disney faced this kind of backlash. Halle Bailey's casting in The Little Mermaid sparked similar outrage just years before. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. Zegler herself only added fuel to the fire. Many were furious when she trashed the 1937 classic, dismissing its storyline and romantic themes. But she wasn't the only one questioning Disney's decisions. Even actor Peter Dinklage, a Hollywood A-lister, aimed for the project. "You're progressive in one way," he scoffed, referencing Zegler's casting, "but you're still making that Fing backward story about 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the F are you doing?"
But it's hard. And it's lonely. It's very lonely. I just know that if that loneliness can exist, so can other things, and I will be okay.
At some point, Disney started wondering the same thing. Despite sinking a staggering $270 million into the film, the studio began scaling back its promotion, cutting down the red carpet premiere, and even delaying ticket pre-sales. And now, Snow White is being obliterated on IMDb, with 91% of users slamming it with the lowest possible score, 1 out of 10. And who is Hollywood blaming for this catastrophe? All fingers are pointing at Rachel Zegler. The Hollywood Reporter acknowledged that Snow White had been under fire for years, citing the film's progressive creative decisions and star Rachel Zegler's controversial comments. Meanwhile, Variety dove deep into Disney's Snow White nightmare, revealing that industry insiders believe the studio let Zegler sink the film by allowing her to control the narrative. A top Hollywood agent even scolded Disney, saying, "The first time she shoots her mouth off, you nip it in the bud." Ironically, the new Snow White script, written by Aaron Cressida Wilson, focuses on the character finding her voice and standing her ground. But here's the real question. Was Disney's biggest mistake giving Rachel Zegler that same power in real life? With everything falling apart, can Disney still salvage this movie, or is it too late?
And how they had her tweet out like a little, "Yay, Snow White, can't wait, so excited, I love to play her." And she did it and got like millions of views, and they were like, good job, Rachel. And then she, like, minutes later followed it up with, and never forget, free Palestine.
Variety also zoomed in on an episode from August, shortly after a teaser for the movie dropped, when Zegler shared a message of gratitude to fans on X, adding in a separate post, and always remember, free Palestine. The article implied that Zegler's post fueled death threats against her co-star Gadot, who is Israeli. It also reported that one of the film's producers, Mark Platt, was so incensed by Zegler's pro-Palestine message that he flew to New York to admonish her in person about it. The detail about Platt strains credulity. Still, it was later confirmed by his son Jonah, who wrote on Instagram, "Yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office." The younger Platt may have also been alluding to an Instagram post that Zegler made following the November elections, in which she lamented the deep, deep sickness in this country that is shown in the sheer amount of people who showed up for this man who threatens our democracy. She concluded, Donald Trump. Zegler later apologized for her Trump-related remarks, saying, "I let my emotions get the best of me."
To everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
Oh my God.
And I can only hope
What does that mean?
that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line.
Placing the failure of Snow White primarily at Zegler's feet, as many insiders in Hollywood are evidently eager to do, is almost perversely flattering to her. The Walt Disney Company has a market cap of nearly $180 billion. Yet, in Variety's telling, this international conglomerate could not overcome the backlash that had been brewing like a fairy tale cauldron. I am no box office analyst, but for what it's worth, my kids are squarely in the Snow White demographic, and I don't think they were lukewarm on going to see it because its star has insufficiently nuanced opinions about Prince Florian, President Trump, or the Israel-Hamas war. John Lennon's son, Sean, calls Rachel Zegler a spoiled, ungrateful brat.
I think it's fair to say that no one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie. And yet, Christian, you've seen the movie, and it appears that the filmmakers cobbled together enough salvageable material to make the movie itself quite nice.
The Snow White backlash just got bigger, and Sean Ono Lennon isn't staying quiet. The 49-year-old son of John Lennon and Yoko Ono called out Rachel Zegler in a now-deleted X post. While admitting the hate against her had gone too far, he still slammed her as a spoiled, ungrateful, and disconnected brat. Why did he delete the tweet? Regret or pressure?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. Super weird. So we didn't do that this time.
Zegler has faced controversy since dismissing the 1937 Snow White as dated and calling Prince Charming a stalker. Her criticism of Trump voters and public support for Palestine only added fuel to the fire. According to Variety, she posted Free Palestine after promoting the Snow White trailer, which reportedly led to death threats against co-star Gal Gadot. Disney even had to provide extra security. An insider claims Zegler had no clue about the damage she caused. She didn't understand the repercussions. Disney was furious. Snow White producer Mark Platt flew to New York to confront her. His son, Jonah Platt, later blasted Zegler online, saying, "My dad had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging personal politics into a movie she was paid millions to promote." He also blamed her for hurting the film's box office. Now, Zegler has gone quiet. Earlier, she called the role the honor of a lifetime. But after all this, does she still believe that?
These so-called mainstream, meaning corporate media dinosaurs, are in a full-blown panic right now, trying to find people who actually understand Donald Trump and his voters to come and be commentators on their shows, like The View. Then there's this whole debate about, is somebody going to get fired? Because already, believe it or not, they have 2 purported conservatives on The View right now. I know you don't know that.
In Megyn's view, this film will fail because no one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie. So does that mean Zegler, who won a Golden Globe for her portrayal of Maria in Steven Spielberg's 2021 remake of West Side Story, is going to find herself unemployable? Ultimately, Megyn thinks Zegler needs to learn a lesson. "I don't really care what happens with this movie," she concluded. "I really hope her career is pretty much over. I'd be thrilled to see that." Zegler, of Colombian and Polish descent, has become the face of the Snow White controversy, both for Disney's casting choice and for her divisive remarks. And that's where things stand, for now. But what do you think? Is Rachel Zegler digging herself into a deeper hole? Or is the backlash overblown? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next Hollywood controversy.